Welcome to this episode of Blind Edit. This is where we're going to jump into Lightroom and I'm going to take a photo that I shot and I'm going to edit. And I say blind edit because I want to edit it for the first time in front of you so you all can kind of get the feel for what I see when I edit. Because what I shoot is different, and then when I bring it back to my computer, sometimes you see something that you didn't see when you were shooting it. This is the photo that I took in Weslaco, Texas. When I was walking down the street, I liked it. I just saw, the first thing that caught my eye was this purple top and then this railing. And then I noticed that I can frame that water tower up. So then I felt like it does one of those circle visuals where you look at this and you look at that and then you look over here and then you zoom out and you see it all together. And that's what makes the photo. So this photo, unedited, it has character. And what I believe is it's our job to capture it, but also to make it pop, what we visualize when we're shooting. So the first thing I like to do, I tend to always do this, is I go down to lens correction and I enable profile correction just to get that bulging, that vignetting out. And if you notice how much it makes it, I feel like it makes it a little more flatter, a little more straight, rather than a little more like it's kind of bulged in. So we're gonna enable that one. And then I like to start messing with my highlights, shadows, and whites, just to kind of get where I want those. I want my whites to really stand out for those lights. My shadows, we're gonna kind of just leave it there for now. My whites, we're gonna make them pop because, like I said, I want everything to just really stand out. My blacks, we're gonna open them up just a bit. Contrast, we're gonna just bring things up for now. Something I like to do on my landscape photos, on my street photography photos that are like these, is in my tone curves, you click your point curve, which is your whites. And I like to bring this one to strong contrast. And it's gonna really add a lot of contrast. It makes it dark, but that's okay. There's still a lot of more tweaking that we're gonna be doing. So we're gonna bring up the exposure just a bit. Don't be afraid, it's not gonna do no harm. I do feel it's a little off balance, so I'm gonna rotate it just a tad, just a little bit. That seems a little more straight. Okay, so I brought up my exposure, and you can see everything's coming to life. So remember, go back to my blacks and just move those around. Let's leave it about right. -5. My whites, we're gonna keep them up, but my shadows, we're gonna open up my shadows a bit just so I can kind of see a little more of the outside, the tree right here. And my highlights, I still want to keep them bright. Clarity, I'm not heavy on clarity, but it doesn't hurt just to add a little bit just for that structure. Vibrance, I love my vibrance. I'm gonna bring up my vibrance heavily. Okay, that's looking good. Okay, now what I want to do is, I know I want this purple to pop, so I'm going to go to this one, or where is it? Colors. And we're going to select, I think it's this purple, magenta. Let me see if it moves it. Yeah. So we can bring up the saturation. You can change the color, but I want to leave it as it is. I just wanted to bring out a little more. I'm going to see if I can bring out this bluish purple. Yeah, you see, brings it out just a bit more. Let's bring up that saturation just for that. Now, I've been asked before, do I use presets? My response to that is no. I'm not against presets. I think presets are really useful and wonderful for what they do. But for my style, I like to make each photo its own. I believe that each photo has its own characters, and it's my job I capture it and I bring out the character. Like I said, sometimes I shoot something, I envision something, but then when I bring it back to Lightroom, hey, that's completely not what I envisioned when I shot it. The composition's there, but the editing that I had in my mind is not there. So that's why I don't use presets on my main photos. And this is just about, finding something that just brings out that character. All right, I feel pretty good about that color, but I'm gonna bring up the brightness just a bit more. My contrast, I wanna bring that up just a tad. Okay. I'm gonna mess with my temperature just to see what it does. Let's mess with the tint. I'm gonna leave the tint alone. My temperature, I'm just gonna make it just a little cool from what it was. Okay. Something I do want to add is this street right here. I feel like I want this street to have more heavier contrast, heavier blacks. So I'm gonna mask it, a gradient mask, and we're just gonna stretch it and customize it. Okay, so now we're gonna mess with the contrast. See, that's what I want. I wanted that heavy contrast on my street. Let's go to my blacks. Just bring it, don't make it too noticeable. Shadows, we're just gonna bring that down a tad. Highlights, bring it down a bit. Whites, bring it down just a tad. Okay, exposure. Leave the exposure where it's at. Okay, so it looks better. I just wanted that street just to be a little more heavier. It just kind of blends in with everything else, and your eyes go on my main subjects, which are this top, the water tower, and the railing. So just you do that loop. You're telling the viewer what you want to focus on, and then you start looking at every other detail that's in this photo. Oh, there's this nail salon. There's this beautiful street. There's this light with this nice glimmering, shining light. So we're gonna continue. Let's go to, what happens if I do make oranges? I'm gonna bring up those oranges just a bit mainly for this wall, just to, so it's not so dull. There we go. Okay. And I'm gonna go back to my color wheels, and I'm just gonna tweak these things up a little. There is a rule you can follow about color grading. And this is something you don't have to stick to, but this is something that will help you if you don't know where to start. So you adjust your midtones first to what you like, and then you put your highlights on an aspect of the color wheel, and then your shadows, you move it to the opposite of your highlights, and it kind of really gives it a balance. Because if I were to move my shadows exactly where it is, you see everything's just a little one tone. But if I move with the opposite of my highlights, you see this is what it does. So this is a rule you can take. You don't have to follow, but it's something you can use as a guideline if you get a little lost. Because this color wheels, it can be a little overwhelming with trying to make so many tweaks and so many different things. I feel pretty happy about that. It brings to life what I envision. When I'm walking down that street and I take that shot, I know there's something there. But this is how it looks originally. And that's not what you're seeing in the person. You bring it to your camera, it's like, hey, where's all the colors? Where's all the creation? That's your job in Lightroom. That's why we shoot raw, to make everything pop, to bring everything to life, to give character to that photo. I really hope you enjoyed this. If you have, please subscribe. Leave a comment if you have anything you want to discuss or any questions that you might have, and I'd be happy to reach out and talk about it. Until next time, we'll see you all.